Okay, video number 2 on step 4, principle 4, step 4, yeah, which is our inventory. But this particular video is going to be about feelings. Feelings are so crucial in our addictive lifestyle. Our hurts, habits, and hangups are often, I want to say most of the time, they have roots in our inability to deal with feelings. I used to say about myself that I was an emotional cripple. I knew about 2 emotions, happy and sad, maybe 3, anger, all right? But those emotions, while they're the obvious ones, they are just scratching the very surface of emotions that are important to us. And God made us with emotions, and it's important. The emotions are going to happen to us, so it's important to deal with them properly by, number 1, experiencing them. Don't brush them under the rug, don't cover them up, don't numb them. Take the time to feel your feelings. Number 2, there's no such thing as a bad feeling. Feelings are just important. They're our body, our mind responding to things that are happening around us. So we gotta experience our feelings. It also is very helpful if you're going to have relationships with people. One of the keys to a healthy relationship, especially an emotionally intimate relationship with a spouse or a good friend, is emotional transparency, emotional intimacy, and talking about our feelings. Now, if you're like me, and many other people with addictive tendencies, we don't know how to do that. I was never taught how to experience or talk about feelings. Feelings were often painful, so I desired to ignore them or numb them or run away from them or manufacture other feelings to cover up the uncomfortable feelings. But it's very, very important to learn how to experience and discuss feelings. So recognize that it's okay to feel even hard feelings like sadness, anger, pain, loneliness. They're not fun feelings necessarily, but they're very important. They're an integral part of who God made us to be. So you can get online and download a sheet of feelings. This is one that will be available to you that Mike can copy off for you. This is a pretty basic one. This is 1 page, 5 columns, and there's maybe 200 feelings listed here. You can print off, Google and download copies of this that have 5 times as many nuanced feelings. But this is a good start for us emotional cripples. And the first thing you do when you get this emotions list or feelings list is to just read through it. And a lot of them will seem like, well, that's the same thing as that. It's silly. Like chagrined and flustered and foolish, those are all the same. Well, they're not. They have different names because they're different feelings. They're nuances, but they're important to start to separate out and tweeze apart these different nuances so we can start having the full experience of our humanity, feeling all these different feelings. It's pretty interesting as we start to recover and start to develop some skill, some experience with feeling our feelings and talking about our feelings. They're like nuances. It's a little bit like looking at a painting. You can have a painting that's in black and white, or you can have a painting that's in black and white and some shades of gray, or you can add all the rainbow of colors and all the palette of different colors. That's what feelings and emotions are supposed to be. All the different shades and subtleties of feelings are important for us to be a complete human being. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple tools to use to start developing skills in feelings and emotions. First of all, you read through the list. That's easy enough. Number 2, there's a game you can play, and you do this the first game by yourself. And basically, it's a journaling tool, but don't let the word journaling throw you. You don't have to even have to write it down, although it is helpful to write it down. What you're going to do is once a day. Sirens going by. Once a day, you're going to sit down with a piece of paper and write down one incident that happened that day, something that happened. All right, so for me, let's say I drove to work and there was construction on the road and I got backed up in construction. All right, that's what happened. Number 2, you're going to write down what you thought about that incident. So for me, I'll think, I thought, I wonder how long traffic is going to be goofed up like this, because it's a big construction project. It's probably going to be backed up for the whole summer. I also thought that people are not driving safer. They're going too fast through this construction zone. So I have two different thoughts there on that one incident. Number 3, you're going to write down your feelings, what you felt about that incident. All right, so you got what the incident was, very brief description. What you thought about that incident, very brief thoughts. Number 3, what you felt about that incident. So in my case, I might have felt frustrated because now I'm behind on my schedule. Or I could have felt angry because people are flying through there endangering people. I could have felt frightened because people were endangering me as they fly past the traffic. All right, so whatever your feelings were, you write them down. It's important not to judge your feelings. Just write them down, whatever they were. Try to think back and relive that experience. All right, so that's exercise number 1. I called it a game, but that one's really just an exercise. So you're going to do that once a day for an incident that happened each day. All right, the next one is a little more fun, and it is a game that my wife and I did when we were working through my initial recovery. And you can do it with anybody. You can do it with your accountability partner, you can do it with your spouse, you can do it with anybody that you feel comfortable doing it with. You're going to take your list and you're going to close your eyes and put your finger on a feeling. You're going to then read that feeling. In my case, it said apathetic. All right, so my word for this game today is apathetic. Then you're going to do 2 things with that feeling. First of all, you're going to say, the first time I remember feeling apathetic was, and you're going to go back as far as you can in your life and try to remember when you first felt apathetic. So, and this may take a little while to think through. So for apathetic, first time I remember feeling apathetic was, let's see, when I was in junior high. And there was a fight between a couple kids on the playground. And I remember thinking, they're not friends of mine, I don't care what happens with that. And I'm making this up, all right? But you want to go back as far as you can in your life. If you can go back to 5 years old, you want to go back as far as you can. So that's the first time I felt apathetic. The second thing you do with this is you say to whoever you're talking to, nowadays I feel apathetic when and just think about, when do you experience that feeling in your current life? So nowadays I feel apathetic, gosh, pretty rarely. I have opinions about everything, so this is a tough one for me. I feel apathetic when people glower at me for not wearing a mask in the store. You know what, I've got my reasons for not wearing a mask. I don't care what they think, so I'm apathetic about that. So again, I'm making that up, but I really don't care. All right, so it's a pretty fun game. Then whoever you're with, they do the same thing. They'll close their eyes, point at a different word, and they'll do the same thing. When is the first time I remember feeling that feeling? Nowadays, I feel that feeling when Now there's a rule. If you're doing this with your spouse, you cannot say, I feel this feeling when you, wife, when you do this. That's off grounds. You cannot go there with your spouse, all right? So that's the only guideline. Other than that, it's a pretty fun game. I did this, first of all, with my wife, and then when we had my daughter and her husband home for a while, for a weekend, we did it with them once in the evening, a couple times in the evening while they were visiting. So it's a pretty fun game. You don't have to tell people why you're playing this game. Just say, it's a fun exercise, let's do this game that Chuck taught me. So anyway, good stuff. So that's a way to start re-healing, redeveloping your ability to do feelings. And that's an important one when you're doing your inventory, because you want to dig into feelings. Feelings are crucial to our healing. So go for it. Do your inventory. Do not skimp on it. Look for feelings. All right, they're important. They're not positive or negative. They're not good or bad. They may be difficult, but they're not bad. So give yourself the freedom and safety to feel your feelings. We're a step closer to healing. So dig in, guys. I'm praying for you. And one of these days we'll talk face to face about this. So I'm going to shut off the camera, so I'm walking into the camera again. Sorry about that.